Look at what's on your screen right now. Left side, silver just dropped 22% in 5 days, from $121 down to $95. That is $26 per ounce gone. Right side, the Perth Mint, one of the biggest silver mints on the planet, just put up a notice that says, "Sales suspended." In every market I have ever studied, stocks, crypto, real estate, oil, when the price drops, more product becomes available. Sellers come out. Shelves get restocked. That is how supply and demand works. It has worked that way for centuries. But right now, silver just became 22% cheaper. And at the same time, mints are shutting down. Dealers are failing to deliver. Physical silver is vanishing. That does not happen in a real market. So the question is simple. What is actually going on? Today, I am going to walk you through it. Not opinions, not predictions. I am going to show you the actual trail, the data, the numbers, the receipts, and let you decide what it means. This is Global Money Report. If this is your first time here, this channel exists for one reason: to follow the money when the headlines stop making sense. And right now, the headlines are not making sense. If you have been following along with silver over the last few weeks, you already know something has shifted. But what most people do not realize is how deep this goes. By the end of this video, you are going to see exactly where the silver is going, who is moving it, and why the price on your screen right now does not match what is actually happening in the real world. Let's follow the trail. Let me lay out exactly what happened this week in order, because the sequence matters. On Wednesday the 28th, silver was still trading around $117. At that point, the Perth Mint in Australia, one of the most trusted government mints in the world, quietly sent a notice to their wholesale distributors, not to the public, to the wholesalers. The notice said they were pausing all new wholesale orders on their flagship silver coin, the Kangaroo, until February 23rd, nearly a full month. The reason they gave: increasing worldwide demand and a large backlog of orders. That is the first data point. Demand is already overwhelming supply, and silver is still at $117 before the crash. Then on Thursday the 29th, silver starts to drop fast. By end of day, it is in the low hundreds, and on Friday the 30th, today, it hits $95. Now here's what I want you to think about. The Perth Mint was already at a breaking point when silver was at $117. When the price dropped to $95, a 22% discount. What do you think happened to demand? It did not go down. It exploded. Every investor who had been waiting on the sidelines just saw one of the biggest sales in years on an asset that mints could already not keep in stock. So where is all that silver going? That is the first question. Let's start finding answers. Perth Mint is not the only one. Let me show you what else happened this week. And I want you to pay attention to how each one broke down, because it is not all the same problem. The U.S. Mint. The U.S. Mint suspended sales on silver numismatic products. Their website shows temporarily unavailable. If you called their customer service, they told you they were updating prices. Here is what actually happened. Silver was moving so fast that the mint's listed prices became outdated almost immediately. They were selling American silver eagles at prices below what silver was actually costing them on the open market. They were losing money on every transaction, so they shut down. When products came back online, the price had jumped 86% overnight. The 2026 Silver Eagle, which was supposed to launch in January, has been delayed to late February, and subscriptions are already sold out. That is a different failure mode than Perth. Perth ran out of inventory. The U.S. Mint could not price fast enough. The Royal Mint. Britain, one of the oldest mints in the world, over 1,000 years of history. Right now, out of stock on silver bars. Not just the fancy collector pieces. The basic 1 kilogram bars. The standard product, gone. India. This one is the most serious. Dealers across India are not just running low, they are defaulting on deliveries. That means customers are paying, full payment, upfront, and then not receiving the silver. Amazon India sellers are canceling orders after payment has already been accepted. People are posting proof online. So now we have 4 separate failure modes happening at the same time. on different continents for different reasons. Perth, backlog and rationing. US Mint, repricing crisis. Royal Mint, complete stockout. India, delivery defaults. When 4 different systems break in 4 different ways at the same moment, what does that tell you? It tells you the problem is not with any one mint, it is with the supply itself. Now, let's follow the silver that is still moving, because somewhere, someone is still getting their hands on physical metal. And the trail leads to Shanghai. The Shanghai Futures Exchange publishes vault data. This is public information. Anyone can look at it. And what it shows right now is extraordinary. As of today, January 30th, Shanghai vaults hold 455 metric tons of silver. That is roughly 14.6 million ounces. Sounds like a lot. But here is the number that matters. In a single day, one trading session, 26.94 metric tons were withdrawn, almost 27 tons. That is 870,000 ounces removed from the exchange vaults in 24 hours. Run that math. At that withdrawal rate, Shanghai vaults could be completely empty in under 3 weeks. Now, who is withdrawing? When you take silver out of an exchange vault, you are not selling it. You are taking physical delivery. You are moving real metal out of a public warehouse and into private storage. The paper price and the real-world price have split apart. Now, why does this happen? The silver price that everyone sees, the $95, is set primarily by futures contracts and derivatives trading on exchanges like COMEX in New York. These are not transactions involving actual silver. They are financial bets. Agreements to buy or sell silver at a future date. The problem is that the volume of these paper contracts vastly exceeds the amount of physical silver that actually exists. Some estimates put the ratio at 100 to 1. For every ounce of real silver, there may be 100 ounces of paper claims on it. In normal times, this system works because very few people actually demand physical delivery. Most traders close their positions before expiry and settle in cash. But when demand for actual metal surges, the way it is surging right now, the paper system has no way to fulfill those claims. And that is exactly what we are seeing. Lease rates, the cost to borrow physical silver, have spiked to as high as 39%. In normal markets, that rate is near zero. When it jumps to 39%, it means physical silver is so scarce that holders are demanding enormous premiums just to let someone else use it temporarily. When the price says $95 and real buyers are paying $130, $150, which number should you trust? This week did not come out of nowhere. What is breaking right now has been building for years, and the data has been public the entire time. Silver has been in a supply deficit for 5 consecutive years. Every single year since 2021, the world has consumed more silver than it has mined. Global mine production is roughly 835 million ounces per year. Total demand, industrial use in solar panels, electronics, electric vehicles, medical devices, plus investment and jewelry demand, exceeds 1 billion ounces annually. That is a gap of over 165 million ounces every year, and over 5 years, that cumulative deficit has reached roughly 800 million ounces. Where has that extra silver come from? Above-ground stockpiles, vault reserves built up over previous decades, recycling, existing inventory being drawn down. Think of it like a water tank. For 5 years, more water has been flowing out than coming in. The tank has been slowly emptying. This week, the tank hit the bottom. When the Perth Mint, the US Mint, the Royal Mint, and dealers in India all break down in the same week, that is not bad luck. That is years of deficit finally reaching a point where there is no buffer left. And here is what makes this different from previous silver spikes. Industrial demand, particularly from solar energy and electric vehicles, is not going away. It is growing. The structural deficit is not a temporary blip. It is a trend that is accelerating. Now, and this is the part that matters, what do you actually do with this information? I am not going to tell you to buy or sell. That is your decision. But I'm going to give you 3 things to think about before you make it. First, understand what you actually own. If you hold a silver ETF or a futures position, you do not own silver. You own a financial contract. In normal conditions, that contract is fine, but we are not in normal conditions. If physical delivery were demanded on a large scale right now, many of those contracts could not be fulfilled. Know what you hold before you decide what to do with it. Second, do not let the paper price make your decision for you. The $95 number is real as a trading price, but it does not reflect the cost of actually acquiring physical silver right now. If you are evaluating silver based on the screen price alone, you are missing half the picture. Check what physical dealers are actually charging. The gap between the two numbers tells you something important. Third, watch the lease rates and vault data going forward. These are the two indicators that will tell you whether this situation is resolving or getting worse. Lease rates near zero means the physical market is functioning. Lease rates above 5% means stress. Shanghai Vault withdrawals will show whether accumulation continues. I will link both of these data sources in the description below so you can track them yourself. The situation is still developing. Nobody knows exactly how this resolves or how long it takes. But now you know what to watch and why. We started this video with a simple question. The price is crashing, but you cannot buy the product. Now you have seen why. The mints are breaking down, not because of one problem, but because the system has been running on empty for 5 years. The physical silver is being moved out of public vaults into private hands, primarily in Asia. The price on your screen is set by a paper market that holds a fraction of the metal it claims to represent. And the gap between what paper says silver is worth and what real buyers are actually paying is widening every day. I am not here to tell you what silver will do next week or next month. I am here to make sure that when you make a decision, you are making it with the full picture, not just the headline. If this was useful, subscribe to Global Money Report. This is the kind of analysis we do here, following the data where it leads, not where it is comfortable. If you have questions, or if you are seeing something in the silver market that you think deserves a closer look, drop it in the comments. I read everyone. I will see you in the next one.